Listen, there have been some excellent analyses of Raya versus Ramsdale online. There have been all the breakdowns of where they pass differently to, and they do pass differently to different areas, whether their save percentage is better, and they do have different save percentages, whether their style of being goalkeeper and therefore kind of cheerleader slash team mascot is different, and also how well they will fit in overall to Arsenal. And that, I think, is the key here. There is a lot to unlock this summer at Arsenal, and Arteta is in stage 4, I want to say, maybe the end of stage 3, of building this Arsenal that he wants to build. But at this point, it's going to get a little bit awkward. It's going to get a little bit different. It's going to get a little bit, there might be some names that we need to change on that team sheet. And so it brings me on to the first of the questionable summer signings. Every other summer signing, I think, I mean, some people might disagree on Havertz, has been clearly tactically progressive, should we say, or tactically progressive in the way that Arteta wants to move. Raya is that. But emotionally, so many people are so attached to Ramsdale at this point, especially after he came in for Bert Leno, especially after you hear his story, after you look at his character, when you see how much he cares about where he's at, when you see how much he cares about representing whichever club it is that he represents, whatever manager it is that he's having a really deep relationship with at that point. And also at the same time, you kind of feel for the guy, right? I mean, when you have an almost title-winning season, that almost bonds you to the players more than if you win a title. And Arsenal fans will know, as a Liverpool fan, I know what I'm talking about in this. There are so many nearly, so many maybes, so many, how many things can I make up for? How many times could I have put it here instead of here? How many saves could I have made? How different could I have been in terms of style of play? Could I have saved us those 2 points when we got one? It's the kind of thing that stats can't really look into. You can look in, and I get it, like there's such a cliche at this point, but you can look into so many different relationships within the Arsenal side and say, hey, I love the captain, Odegaard. I love Saka. I love Gabriel Jesus because he came in. There are some difficult conversations going around Zinchenko at the moment, whether tactically he fits into the side or the progress of the side based on where they are going. Are you wrong to question arguably one of your best players last season because the progress that he stands in the way of or possibly isn't optimized for is what you really want to achieve? And really, are we just lying to ourselves in saying that these people will be at our clubs forever? And is there a transactional element to everything that we're trying to do anyway, which negates however you feel about Ramsdale? Ramsdale has been a good goalkeeper for Arsenal, and I've detailed some of the other reasons why. I think in so many games, I was so clear about Ramsdale's, especially in the analysis last season, Ramsdale's involvement in key moments. But it's also about volume. It's about the metrics which indicate whether he is a good goalkeeper or not at this point. And frankly, if you can get another goalkeeper who's in the last year of his contract, who plays for a side that meshed very well with yours in the first place, and has also Premier League proven, and is also a pretty good age to get a goalkeeper in, there is a hot offer on the table there. And boy, do everyone else in the Premier League know it as well. There are other teams, I'd imagine, at the top in City and in Liverpool and even in United who will have looked around the Premier League and gone, is that an upgrade for us? Or is that someone we can get in the long run who's going to, be here after these other guys leave? And I think there's a key in that, right? Because some Manchester United possibly would have gone for him had they not had a better relationship with Onana. But the key around that was Arsenal are looking for these small incremental, I don't want to say culls, but like changes that they can make within the side, which are going to be the thing that push them over the edge, which get the extra 0.23 points per game that add up over a season long. In those big moments, you get attached to Ramsdale and you go, hey, I love this guy. This guy's fantastic. But you're kind of getting the eye test without the thing to back it up. And again, it's not to say like Ramsdale is not a fantastic goalkeeper. It's just to say incremental gains are the game that you're now playing. And if you're Arsenal and the game you want to win is, frankly, the Premier League, there are going to be some difficult decisions, some difficult conversations, some difficult moments where you sort of look at the players and go, what did you do wrong? That's why Xhaka is on, was sort of on the wall of legends, but not really on the wall of like the guys who pushed you over the edge, because he didn't. That's why people are questioning Partey and saying, hey, can he last a full season with injuries? That's why they had to buy in Yuri and Timber. That's why Declan Rice is already being seen as, the next big thing at Arsenal. Because you need these painfully consistent people who are very top tier to get to that point. And Rice is a really good thing here, right? We should get on to Rice and the impact of these new signings on the rest of the team. It's only really, and I'm not a goalkeeper specialist, so you could probably negate half of what I've said in this video so far, but it's only really when I started to look at the impact that David De Gea had on Manchester United last season and why they needed Wout Weghorst, why further down the field they couldn't play the football that they wanted to play because of the limitations of David De Gea. Now, that's not to say that Ramsdale's limitations are the same. And in fact, you could say that he's been asked to play a specific tactical game by Arteta that possibly he could, blossom into a bigger footballing game, right? And I think he's got high ceiling, high capability. But there's also elements where when you look at it, you go, you passed into basically the area straight ahead of him because obviously the players who Arteta wanted to receive are there, right? Which arguably could be Declan Rice next season. But also now there are other options out wide. There are other, maybe long balls that they want to play into a Havertz head-on, Havertz control. Could you have done that to Xhaka? And if you look, like, this isn't my analysis, go and watch Tifa. I'll put the link to them in the description. But he's got that like long ball out to the left that Ivan Toney would often get onto for Raya. There is a long distribution that you want to see if you are any manager, because you want that range of distribution. And how important is that? It's not even like super long. It's not like they're going like long ball and just hope. It's like that what I'd now weirdly, in the 90s, you'd have called that long ball. In the modern game, you call that mid. It's that bit just after the after the center circle, right? Where you go, if we get the ball there, like that leads into the dangerous 8-10 space where obviously all of our best players can do some of their best work, or like some of our most dangerous players and incisive players can do some of their best work. Ramsdale, could you get there? Can we skip one of these steps? Not always, but sometimes. Can we skip one of these steps? And my analysis is coming across different to other people. I think some people don't know, and I don't know either, whether Raya is a replacement or reinforcement on Mikel Arteta's part. Now, what I will say is, just because we don't know doesn't mean the players don't know. So far, Mikel Arteta seems very clear in his conversations that he's having with certain players and very capable in keeping players on side, even when they don't get minutes in the team. That's been clear up front. That's been clear in the midfield. He's clearly rotated in the right areas. He's clearly had buy-in from players. And there is now that clip going around online of Edu and Timber and the unlit Premier League silhouette, which they want to light up. And some people say it's cheesy. I actually quite like it. I think it's a nice symbol. Maybe it's a bit corporate, but hey, I mean, you might as well be clear about your goals. You're possibly setting yourself up for a fall, but you get what I'm saying. But the point is, like, he's managed those people quite well. But there are shades of, and I mean this in the best way, there are shades of, some of you won't even know this reference, Gerard Houllier, Roy Evans. Arsenal fans probably will be like, Roy Evans was clearly not Ramsdale. But he was one of the boys. He was one of the boot room. He was one of that famous Liverpool backroom staff that did special things with Liverpool, but he never quite got Liverpool over the edge. He was the manager in the 90s for people who are like born, post my memory. And Liverpool needed to upgrade to the late 20th century. Arguably, Gerard Houllier was early 21st century. He was seen as on a par, at least, connections-wise and politically, with an Arsene Wenger and those kind of guys. He was very well respected within the game. But they brought Gerard Houllier in and they did this thing, and it was so unusual. Evans wasn't sacked. Roy Evans was not sacked. But when Gerard Houllier came in, they did a joint managership for like half a season, maybe even a little bit more. And it was like, hey, these two guys are going to sit on the sideline and be equals. Like, they'll make some tactical decisions and there'll be a bit of a passover of, knowledge and a passing of the baton in a way, but Roy Evans will still be very important. And it was abundantly clear that there was an upgrade Not necessarily on Evans, though. Just on the approach that the whole club was taking. They were modernizing the approach. And I'm not saying, therefore, that Ramsdale's not a modern goalkeeper, but the analysis lays it all out and then basically goes, you make your own conclusion. I don't want to be mean to someone who's clearly a good goalkeeper and a great professional. And arguably, I could be sitting here and making the case for Ramsdale. I could say, like, look, you win just as many points from morale within the team as you do from goalkeepers saving, in key shot, or Ramsdale making some key errors last season. There was the Southampton error, I think it was. There have been other errors. There have been some things in pre-season where some people have flagged a couple of things, and it's like, really? Like, but over a season, when you look at the consistency of a Man City, when you look at the consistency of other teams and the capability of the consistency, when you look at Chelsea coming back up the table, when you look at Manchester United coming back up the table, when you look at what they're building, when you look at what Liverpool are trying to aspire to be, it's not just Arsenal that are going to be pushing City next season. And possibly it will be another team that is pushing Arsenal. Now, in those moments, what do you need? You need someone that you can rely on. Ramsdale was so reliable last season, and I get it. Like, every goalkeeper has a rick in him. They have issues. But at the same time, if you can bring someone in who effectively wipes the slate clean or feels close to that, why would you give up that opportunity? Especially if you've got the budget, especially if you've been reassured that you can make it work, especially if you're also going to be going into the Champions League. And I think there's another element here that we're possibly overlooking, is like bringing in Ramsdale was a necessary upgrade. And I think a lot of people go, well, goalkeeper position is so limited. Like, we can only really do an upgrade every now and again. Pep rotated goalkeepers when he early on came into Man City like they were mates that he was trying out on a weekend trial. Like, originally they got rid of Joe Hart, and then they had Bravo, and then there were other people coming in, and there was so many different names being thrown around. It took them a while to settle on Ederson in terms of like, oh, that's the guy we want. I know they probably could have gotten a number of different people. There are a lot of goalkeepers who are good with their feet, but you get my point. People have got this fixed thinking about the way that Arteta is looking to build this team, and the flexibility and the adaptability that the Premier League now demands could just play into this different skill set that Raya has ahead of Ramsdale. I'm not saying Ramsdale doesn't have that capability. I'm not saying he doesn't have the affability. I'm not saying he doesn't have the dressing room on his side. But what I am saying is, it's clear that some people believe there is technical value that you can only really get from buying and bringing in a new piece of talent. And that can sometimes be a painful and difficult process because you've built emotional ties with these people. Believe me, when Pepe Reina left Liverpool, I was gutted. I was like, how ever will we replace him? Mignolet never quite lived up to that hype that we had for him. And he also didn't fill like the same emotional place in anyone's heart. Like, oh yeah, I miss Mignolet, but also we upgraded. When you upgrade, you don't look back in football. Like, you look back and go, oh, that was a nice time. But you don't look back and go, that was a nice time. I wish we had that again. Like, I enjoyed the Brendan Rodgers years. I enjoyed the Rafa Benitez years. I don't look back and go, wish we had that again. So what I'm saying is, like, I get it. There is this analysis, and there's plenty of amazing analysis of all of how Arsenal operate in the back line. And that pass that Ramsdale does out to the edge of the box could be the pass that Rice gets, could be the one that, he puts out to one of the two great central defenders. But this season, they might be operating with Kivior on one side and Timber on the other, or Zinchenko on one side, and you might have Tomiyasu on the other, or Ben White on the other, or there might be a change in that form in that back line, which they need now because they're going to be playing the Chelseas, the Man City, all these guys. And that's good. By the way, that leads me on to the final point that I want to make here is, like, these marginal gains are not in every game, which is why people are currently saying this thing of, well, rotating your goalkeepers can work. Yeah. And I'm not, again, like, Arteta is 10 times, 100 billion times more knowledgeable about football than I am. He has his own plan. I'm not saying I know what his plan is. But it's the marginal gains in these big games where the short pass, the quick pass, the long pass, this specific pass that you're asking your goalkeeper to pick out, this specific one thing that you need your goalkeeper to do, that if your current goalkeeper can't do it, you are effectively, tactically clipping your own wings. that if they get Raya and they can outplay a Man City or they can outplay a Liverpool, which they struggle to do at times because of elements of distribution, because Virgil van Dijk was there heading the ball away consistently, then get on that. By all means, get on that. Don't rotate your goalkeeper. I think competition is great. I think obviously Ramsdale is going to be pushed by any other goalkeeper because they will get a good high-end goalkeeper, but get someone that you think is as good, if not better than Ramsdale. That's not Matt Turner right now. With all due respect to Matt Turner, American international, really good goalkeeper, high level. That shows you the margins of gain that Arsenal have to get here. That shows you the level that you can go to if you're Mikel Arteta. So Arsenal fans, I'm just interested in your overall opinion here. There are some disruptive things that you have to do that in the moment feel painful, I think, for any fan. You don't want to get rid of players that you feel are attached. You're attached to, they're attached to you. They represent something about the club that you particularly like. But turnover happens. Change happens. And sometimes people get presented with opportunities that they can't give up. And it might have come out of the blue to us. It's probably not come out the blue to Mikel Arteta and Edu. But that's kind of the point here. It's like, we don't know their roadmap, because otherwise, if we publicly knew their roadmap, everyone else would be buying up these players. Other people would be competing for Raya. Other people would be competing for whoever it was they were getting rid of, bringing in, leaving, all these kind of things. I've seen a lot of good technical analysis. He has a better save percentage. He has the passing range is better. It's all marginal. They're both great Premier League goalkeepers. And it's not, I think the stupid thing that people are saying right now is it's not a Joe Hart situation. He's not Joe Hart. He's a high-end goalkeeper. But also there's something to learn from each of these times that goalkeepers have been replaced, moved on, or told that competition is coming in. And very often it's that it is a hard decision, because that is the one space in your whole squad which is so unique in that manner, but is also, therefore, so isolated. I said that was my final point. I really should have said, this was my final point. The other thing is, when you bring in certain technical staff, those technical staff, they want to work with certain kinds of people. And guess who Arsenal have? Ex-Brentford goalkeeper coach. Is that going to, do you know what I mean? Is that going to prejudice you a little? I'm not saying, therefore, it's bad politics. I think, there's preference in style, and that's cool. But it's, again, clear what direction they're trying to move in. If you're Ramsdale and you see that the two guys who have always been friends and have helped each other up the ladder, of course you're not going to be involved in that, or you're going to be involved less in that, or it's going to be more difficult for you to break into that. I'll leave that with you, all right? I think there are things here where these marginal gains have also got not high risk, but riskier. These are riskier maneuvers to gain marginally at the top. Let me know what you guys think. I'd be interested to know in the comments below what you think as Arsenal fans. I'm not saying get rid of Ramsdale, he's rubbish. But I'm saying, I know from my own feelings down the years of going, was this guy good enough? And then when the new guy comes in, you go, it's not actually anything against him. It's just I really get that one over there. He should play more. I think that will happen this season with certain players. Because guess what? I think Arsenal they've got a clock that they've got to strike within here, and it's tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, to when people start to go, do we need to change something else around here? Did we put this together correctly? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I don't think I'm all that negative. I actually think I've kind of tried to be as positive as I can be about this. I think there are a lot of people who want to make this a painful, difficult process, and it doesn't need to be so. It's been nice to chat to you guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Really appreciate it. This is a bit of a return video. I've not been around in a couple of weeks. I've been sick. I've been looking after my kids, et cetera, et cetera. Enjoy it. Have a good day. If you're not already subscribed, feel free to hit the subscribe button down here, and I will chat to you guys in a little while. Much love. Bye.